All right, welcome back to Tactics Marketing. My name is Chris Milton, and this is a podcast that is all designed around getting you more bang for your marketing buck. And today we have a topic that I really think is cool because it is both something where I kind of started a lot of my marketing career here, and it is certainly not irrelevant anymore. And the question is traditional media still worth it? And the answer is yes, with an asterisk. And the reason for that is it's changed so much in terms of how to utilize it. So, a good example of how to leverage everything that's happening in the marketing space is to first understand where your customers are and knowing the people that you want to get in touch with and really figuring if you can figure out where they are, then the likelihood of you being able to have a more successful marketing campaign just improves immediately. So, a good example of this is let's say you're a landscaping company. Well, advertising in a gardening magazine, you automatically know that there's some sort of level of interest in the outcome of what your services are. If somebody is looking at a magazine about having a really nice backyard, it's probably a really great place for you to be there. Even better if you have a tool that you're selling for the garden, like a new shovel or a new lawnmower. So those type of things certainly exist online and offline. There's also the regionalization of a lot of traditional media that makes so much sense. A magazine that only has reach within a couple of states, or a local TV or radio station that you know is only broadcasting within a certain geographic radius. Those things really matter when it comes down to who you're trying to get in touch with. But my favorite is really reverse engineering a lot of what you need to be able to do to have a successful campaign and not counting out the traditional media. And the reason for that is number one, there's a ton of amazing research that each of these different traditional media outlets has already done, researching who their listeners are, who their viewers are, who their readers are, that is probably more information about your customers that you may not know. Things like if you're servicing people in a certain neighborhood, what's the average income that's in that area? What is the likelihood that they have a college education or have kids or a growing family? Their preferences for certain brands, like I had no idea that there was people that would have preference towards, a Ford F-150 pulling up to a job site versus a Dodge Ram versus a Chevy Silverado. But apparently there is, and that can be part of the buying decisions because of their personal feelings towards those different vehicles. So there's all of these different things and all of these different layers that I think we can learn from the traditional side, because on the digital side it's too easy to just punch in some information and start advertising. And I covered that in a previous episode that I'll link below about just don't click boost when you have the opportunity to just click boost, because there's too much information in there that is taking a guess at what you're probably trying to do instead of who you're actually trying to target. So let's not count out traditional media, but let's leverage it. So here's a great example that I wanted to showcase, which is actually ironically with a landscaping client that we worked with before, and we've done this with realtors as well. So the way that it works is it leverages three different platforms. The first is local newspaper, the second is direct mail, and the third is social media advertising. And the way that this works is if you were to look at the way that you do postal code or zip code targeting in Canada and the US, you're able to really dial down where you can send a postcard or any type of mail to. It could be even be a magazine. Now, those things for us are super fun to create, because I would love for every business that can make sense of it to do their own magazine, because it's literally chock full of just as much information as you can have with 6 months of blogging on your website. But that is for another conversation. But if you're curious about that, let me know. We love that, and that's something that we've talked about with a bunch of people. So the first is figuring out what you're going to send out. So let's use the realtor example. So the realtor examples is designed to work around three specific points. The first is a new listing. The second is the open house for that listing, and the third is the sale of that listing. Each of those different things is designed to say, okay, as the realtor, I know who is probably going to buy this house in this area. Within what radius do I know people are moving to this neighborhood? And what are the criteria that I need to be able to meet them and understand? So that could be income, so they can actually afford the house. That could be the number of bedrooms versus the number of children that they have. That could be the proximity to specific schools or activities or community centers. And so you can build up that profile that's pretty robust. And we actually find that through USPS and Canada Post, they actually have amazing data because since they're government organizations, they're actually tied into a ton of census data. And that gives you a lot of information about who's in what area. That's not to say that it doesn't exist elsewhere. It's just really accessible because it's part of planning your campaign. The next part of it is understanding what you're going to send. And so when you're doing your listing anyways as a realtor, you're going to have to do the photos, you're going to have to do the video anyways. So it's really easy to do a postcard that has all of the photos just set up. And so that's something to create new listing, send it out to those target buyers, and the response rate is typically going to be around 2 to 5%. Usually it is less than that, but this is because you've taken so much intent into finding a product market fit that if you were to send out 1,000 of these, you'd probably get 20 people that are interested and go to your website. Now, that's just in a certain market, but in reality, with your post, it's usually going to be less than 1% of a response rate. So, from that response rate, how do you turn that into someone in the next step? Well, that's where the digital side of it comes in. Taking all the information that you used from your campaign that you put together for the postcards, turn that into a social media campaign. And Facebook is great for this because then you can run it on Facebook and Instagram. Use all the information that you had for your targeting campaign for your age, number of kids, current area, zip code, level of income, all of those details that you use to figure out your delivery. Use the same geographic radius so that people are now having two impressions. They're getting a physical postcard and they're also going to see your ads, hopefully, most likely. Usually this works really well and they do see both, but they're seeing the ad as well coming through on their social. And so now you have 2 points of interaction. You make the graphics look very similar so that it reminds them that things are happening. The next step is being able to have a small ad or even a featured article like an advertorial in a very localized newspaper or magazine, as well as a second drop. And those two things are coming the week before your open house. And so your Facebook ads are continuing. You're going to switch that text up to say, hey, this new listing, come check it out, and actually use that as an opportunity to invite people to your open house so that you have numbers that are coming through. Again, another strong metric that's helping you on the sales side, even though this is a marketing tactic. And then the best part of this, the most amazing part of this, is what you do afterwards. So you've sent out digital ads that are targeted to the same people that are receiving your postcards. You've got a broader reach that's receiving your advertorial, which then gives you credibility, authority, like we've talked about with SEO, into what you're doing. And then you've got a physical event for them to show up to that is usually the least committed for somebody to come and check out a house because they don't have to make an appointment. It's not specifically for them. They can just pop by, but you get an opportunity to interact with them. All of this information you then use for your final piece. And your final piece is something where you then go back to all of those same people, or you switch it to be specific region within closer to your sale. You've sold the house. You then show all of the stats that went into what you did. You'd be quite transparent and you say, we had 50 people come to the open house. This house just sold. It's your neighbor's house. If you're looking to sell, get in touch with me because clearly I just did a great job. And so it turns into this referral mechanism that actually works really well. And so doing this with landscapers, doing this with realtors, doing this with any home services is actually a really awesome way to be able to say, you could, without changing very much with your drive tomorrow, you could actually go see my work. Like you could literally drive past and see my work. It's there, it's real. I'm not lying to you. We did a great job. And that's amazing in terms of building in a testimonial without it actually being a testimonial. But that is that kind of best case hybrid scenario where you're leveraging three different mediums. Two of them are traditional, one of them is digital, but they have the exact same set of data that's allowing you to target and be really specific with getting in touch with the right people, not just blasting your message to as many people as you can possibly get in touch with, because that is not the best use of dollars. Remember, even if you have a $5,000 budget, that doesn't mean you have to spend all of it. Spend $4,000 the right way and let $1,000 roll over or put it into making better creative. All right, that was a lot of fun. The best thing that comes out of this is actually what you can do with it. So I'm excited to hear how you leverage traditional as well as digital in your campaigns. And if you're looking for more information, go to tacticsofmarketing.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Until next time, see ya.